terrible. It's brutal. Awful. No, you don't. You're sticking with it. You're digging your heels in. You know how terrible it is. It's the worst. It's hard. No, you don't. Steve, take the music off. You gotta know when it's horrible. You gotta know when it's horrible. And I think it's horrible. I think you know it's horrible. No, there's no Christmas feel to it all. It has actually, everything you're saying right now is absolutely the opposite. It has Christmas feel. No, it doesn't have no Christmas feel to it. Would you say that's a Christmas feel? It's just like no mall would have that going. Take it out. It's got to go. You got to know. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And in that one, you lose. Good morning. What is it? Super Tuesday here. Tuesday. Morning Mike's brought to you by our friends at Venbrook Insurance. I've been down the Diddy rabbit hole. The man is truly a monster, says Karen. Oh my God. Yeah. I finished the whole thing. It's so hard to watch this. It's so hard to see that there's been a terrible miscarriage of justice. This guy is Weinstein bad. And we'll get to him in a second. He's got a new supporter. But I mean, you don't realize that the last episode of the 4-episode series on Diddy is all about their court efforts, the PR machine that they had, whatever happened in court. They would send their PR machine out to talk to these bloggers. They identified the biggest bloggers and podcast people and mostly bloggers and social media influencers. God, I hate that word. And they would go out there and shape the argument. And then you would see all these people go, yo, Cassie knew what she was doing the whole time. Cassie could have gotten out of this relationship. Like, excuse me, did you see the text that she was sending in the whole... They couldn't understand the vortex he had sucked Cassie into. And so all of a sudden there was a backlash to her. And this guy got away with, got off on 2 counts, the most serious counts. And, just faced a couple of charges of escorting people over state lines for prostitution, the Mann Act. And so there goes Diddy, 50 months and that's it. Guy's a monster. You think there's any chance he's rehabilitating any part of himself inside Fort Dix? He's going to come out a changed man? No, he's going to come out a man with, most likely, with rage, with many scores to settle. That's what I think. Boy, it just makes you your stomach is turning to get through all that. I'm so glad it's over, but it was riveting. It really puts I thought it was only going to be an axe to grind for 50 Cent, and it definitely was that. But what they laid out, who they have involved, is incredible. One of the most compelling people in there is a guy named Kirk Burroughs, who I mentioned had started Bad Boy Records with Diddy. Without Kirk Burroughs doing all the paperwork and the financial work, there's no way Bad Boy would have gotten off the ground. And then Diddy screwed him out of his 25% and took it away. You notice all along the way throughout Diddy's career, he tells people he's going to do stuff. He doesn't do it. He doesn't pay his artists. He tells them, sorry, that has to come from your, basically your minimum guarantee. We give you a little draw, and they never make money. He makes the money. He screws everybody he's done business with. And then he's connected to 50 Cent and his producing staff connect him deeply to the death of Tupac and Biggie. So, I mean, you want to see this? This thing is a damning piece on Diddy. That's why he was so outraged. And he was like, how could he got his lawyers to go nuts on, but they're not suing. They're not suing Netflix. Yeah. If you have so many, if you believe it's actual defamation, file the lawsuit. Go ahead. How much money you got sitting there behind the bars? You got as much as Netflix? I don't think so. Good luck. Anyway, it's definitely worth a watch. Speaking of documentaries that are just ripping up the charts, The Age of Disclosure, which makes a potent case for unidentified anomalous phenomena in our world, and the US government's decades-long effort to conceal the information from the public. It is a video on demand phenomena. Um, it's been rented by everyone. It's amazing. The producer director, Dan Farah, we had him on Hot Mics yesterday for a awesome hour-long conversation. He told me when he was selling it, like none of the streaming services would buy it. Netflix wouldn't touch it. HBO Max wouldn't buy it. None of them would buy it. And so he had to go independent. He went video on demand. I rented the thing for $23 or whatever it was. That's an expensive rental, but I was like, no, this is worth it. And everyone's doing it. So he's making money like crazy, which is great, but people are watching it. It's a very strong argument. They have 34 government officials, people in the highest places. How he got them to participate was to promise them that they wouldn't be sacrificed to the wolves or made to look, crazy or silly or, tinfoil hat kind of. You realize all these movies that came out about aliens that made it all seem so campy and silly were actually efforts by the CIA. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Like, oh God, how silly is that? You make it like that so people look the other way. And the truth is, UAP isn't like that. It is what you learn in this documentary, The Age of Disclosure, is that there is, space-time bubble. The reason why when you see video of a UFO or some type of UAP, it looks like fuzzy and moving around. There's not a clear picture of it. Well, from what's been witnessed by more than one person in this documentary is this clear sphere, this orb that is around the UAP that somehow keeps it from having to adhere to the laws of physics that everything we know has to. You know what I mean? It moves at speeds that it breaks physical barriers that we know, scientific barriers that we're accustomed to, which is why these things can move at 40,000 miles an hour. And the fastest thing we have goes 4,600 miles an hour. So it's just incredible. And, you've got real witnesses to UAP the size of a super Walmart hovering over the blast door of a nuclear facility, hovering there and then gathering data and then just taking off at 40,000 miles an hour in an instant. And they can go from space to the atmosphere into water, disappear into the ocean without any type of change to its path or progression, which is crazy. Just to me, it feels like, the answer as to where all this is somewhere beneath the ocean's floor. It is incredible. Anyway, we watched that. So those are two docs that I think are, you've got Pentagon officials and big government officials. Marco Rubio, by the way, absolutely acknowledging UAP, acknowledging that we are not alone in the universe, confirming it 100%. What's interesting, he was one of the first senators. In order to get to where we are now with this type of transparency, they had to get Congress involved. So hats off to a bipartisan group of senators and representatives. Chuck Schumer, helpful. He needs good press right now. Kristen Gillibrand, his other senator from New York, helpful. Marco Rubio, when he was senator of Florida, helpful. Very helpful. And now, interestingly enough, the Secretary of State, our top diplomat. So he is in a real position to advance this. Absolutely riveting stuff. Those are the two docs I want you to see. The Diddy one will make your stomach turn, that son of a bitch. Oh, gross. Rubio has really surprised me. Cisco. Yeah, there's something about him that I like. There's something very intelligent about Marco Rubio. I think he's often put in a tough position because Trump's crazy. Sometimes Trump does crazy things. And you see Rubio, like, he navigates it well because I think he knows, maybe, especially given the age of disclosure, what I saw, it's crucial that he's there. He needs to stay there. He needs to be there. He seems like a sane mind. Well, let me get this one up here. Hi, lovies. Last night, I dreamt that we all met up on a beach in Barbados, and Billy and Steve did a live stream in Speedos. We've done that. So I don't know if that was, maybe you were there. Remember, Steve? Was it last Christmas when we did that live stream in Speedos?
Love a good Speedo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Steve's was extraordinarily tight and well filled out. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say it.
I think extra small was a little too small.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're expecting Elsie. We don't know. She's going to be coming along shortly, right, Steve? We think.
We hope. Yes.
Elsie, we love Els Rich on Instagram. We're going to talk a little Blake Lively with Elsie because she has just been on an absolute tear. And when she goes on a tear, I always know it's time to catch up with her. So we gonna do that. Couple of quick news items we should hit here before we get into the gossipy, beautiful stuff. The boat strikes. Speaking of bipartisanship, top congressional Republicans and Democrats are saying they want to review the unedited footage of the deadly follow-up strike in September that killed two survivors, two drug runners, two cartel-related survivors, and 9 others died in the initial attack. But afterwards, there's 2 dudes, as you know, holding onto the side of the drug boat, and they were bombed away. They want to see the unedited footage of who made that call, why'd they make that call, both Republicans and Democrats. I think it's worth taking a look at. Whereas I think Marco Rubio is sort of a central guy, good guy to have in the government, especially. I think he knows how to talk to the president, knows how to handle the president, and is a very intelligent diplomat and smart man, and maybe understands what's going on in the government. Pete Hegseth, I don't think anyone honestly in their gut believes is the right guy for the Department of Defense. I can't imagine there's anyone who could hook themselves up to a lie detector and say that Pete Hegseth brings them comfort. Just don't believe it. All right, another piece of hard news. The Archdiocese of New York, have you seen this? The Archdiocese of New York, the Catholic Church, announcing plans to establish a $300 million fund to compensate victims of sexual abuse who have sued the church. Spokesperson said the fund would cover settlements for most, if not all, of the roughly 1,300 outstanding claims against the Archdiocese. This announcement comes as a federal judge just yesterday approved a settlement for the New Orleans Archdiocese to pay $230 million to hundreds of victims of clergy sexual abuse. So between New Orleans and New York, we're looking at over $500 million to settle claims of sexual abuse. How could Catholicism be on the rise? I don't think it is. Like, this is so, I can't even believe it. What other religion is settling suits for $500 million for SA, as they say? I mean, it's insane. So, not to go too far out here, but how about you let priests marry somebody? How about celibacy is not a thing? How about you let a priest find a woman and marry her and have a nice family and have some babies, right? How about do it that way? The repression thing isn't working. Not to get all, Bill Maher. Speaking of late night guys, Jimmy Kimmel, how about this? Extended his contract. He gets a 1-year extension on his contract. I guess that 3-day suspension after the Charlie Kirk horrendous incident really paid off. ABC caved to its more conservative station groups, if you'll recall, back in September, Sinclair and Nexstar, and they suspended Kimmel for 3 days. Then people started unsubscribing from Disney Plus and Hulu, either out of solidarity with Jimmy or, I don't know, a freedom of speech stance or a Trump rebuke, whatever it is. Dana Walden, who's been friends with Jimmy for a long time and who runs TV at Disney, reinstated Kimmel as quickly as she possibly could. And you can bet this 1-year extension to Kimmel is their formal apology. There's no way they could fire him like Stephen Colbert. Colbert works for Paramount Skydance. So David Ellison is the new boss over there, Larry's son, and he will do anything to do business with Trump. In fact, he and Trump right now he's lobbying like crazy to undo Netflix's purchase of Warner Brothers. He can't believe Netflix outbid him and got to buy Warner Brothers for $72 billion. Everyone thought that David Ellison of Paramount Skydance was going to buy Warner Brothers, and he lost it. But what have they done from before? They fired Stephen Colbert for you, Mr. President. Maybe Donald Trump is going to get involved. And already Trump has said, we got to take a look at it. There's some things there that kind of seem fishy. So the Netflix deal apparently is not a done deal. There could be some Trump wrangling, and because the Ellisons and Trump exchange favors, maybe Netflix will not be able to buy the company. And here's what's interesting. Kimmel gets the extension. Colbert gets fired. Colbert is number one. He beats the Jimmys soundly in the ratings, okay? In total viewers for the last quarter, you got Stephen Colbert at 2.42 million viewers. 2.4, let's call it. Okay? And for Jimmy Kimmel, 1.7. Jimmy Fallon, 1.1. In 18 to 49, which is a big demographic, Colbert 2.63, Kimmel 2.37. So they're a little closer in the 18 to 49s. Fallon still 1.3, way back. So if it's a TV show you're looking at, Colbert is the number one guy across the board, and he gets fired. The number two guy gets an extension. Soon as that whole thing blew up and people rushed to Jimmy's defense, it was the greatest thing ever. He had it written. There's no way that they could then support him in that moment and then cancel him ultimately later. So it all benefits Jimmy Kimmel. Just an interesting little thing on the end here. Before you say Fallon's ratings are so bad, why? Yet Jimmy Fallon is an asshat. Look, I do think he's as silly as the day is long. I always think every time he does something, oh my God, it's like Ariana Grande's here. Oh, and I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like I always think, like, would Johnny Carson do any of that silliness? Fanboy fawning over, like Olivia Rodrigo and people. But they always say in television, we want younger viewers. If you look at the YouTube subscriptions, that turns the whole late night picture on its head. Stephen Colbert has 10 million subscribers, 10.5 million YouTube subscribers, a lot. But Jimmy Kimmel has 22 million YouTube subscribers. Jimmy Fallon has 33 million YouTube subscribers. So they're generating revenue online. And in the end of the day, this isn't about your television ratings. It's about revenue. And Fallon knows how to get the kids watching on the YouTube.
Yeah. Not in Fallon's defense, but when they launched that show, they talked about how Fallon would do skit. His whole thing was going to be small skits. And in a way, he's kind of was ahead of the game because he was doing little pieces of shows that you could clip off and put up for socials and people would watch later.
Yeah.
In that sense,
Yeah, like that kindergarten, music band thing. That was genius. And they'd put like a fisheye camera lens in a teeny little classroom, and they all play classroom instruments. That was the gags and the little bits and the things. They travel online. They're things people share, and he's crushed it on YouTube. So, respect on that front. Speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, Trump was the host of the latest award show, the Kennedy Center Honors. He's on the red carpet, and they're like, are you going to host tonight? He's like, yeah, I'm just, I'm not prepared. I don't have a script. I just do me, I'll be a way better host than, say, the loser like Jimmy Kimmel. He just couldn't stop. He went after Jimmy Kimmel. So 2 days later, they announced Kimmel has another year. Speaking of award shows, this one drives me crazy. I don't want to go in another heater, but I got to do it. The Golden Globes. The Golden Globe Awards. My favorite one to attend. Wine on the table. People get shit-faced. They have fun. It's loose. It's even better if Ricky Gervais is hosting. A few years ago, they were called racist. They groveled in their cancellation to get out of their cancellation. They were told their board of governors needed to reflect a little more color and diversity. They needed more people of race, or let's be honest, they needed some people of race. They didn't have any. And now they're being called bought and paid for. Given that most people, watch more YouTube than any network or streaming service, the Globes announced a new podcast category this year. And the nominees are all the shows I'm sure Jennifer Aniston listens to. Dax Shepard, Armchair Quarterback. Mel Robbins, Call Her Daddy. Smartless. Good Hang with Amy Poehler, which is brand new. And something called Up First. I've never heard of Up First, but this is interesting. No Joe Rogan, huh? Like, do you see a similarity with everybody that's been announced? Right? They're Hollywood approved. Like, I think if the bellwether, the indicator as to how you get a nomination would be, does Jennifer Aniston and or Reese Witherspoon listen occasionally to the podcast? If so, you qualify for nomination. No Theo Vaughn, no Joe Rogan, certainly no Tucker Carlson, certainly no Candace Owens, but those are all very, very popular. The fact that there's no Joe Rogan, it's like the undeniable winner, never once nominated. He'll never be nominated, but undeniably that would be, right, the founder of the most successful podcast. I don't know. And you wonder why we have division and distrust. You know what I'm saying? When Hollywood does things like this, they entrench support for Donald Trump, the person they profess to hate the most. This type of behavior, right? When you betray your mission by forging these mini cliquey collectives and, or social justice or something, you put that forward in some forced way. You look at that list and it's like, I call them the last namers, right? It's the people from SNL who all call each other by their last name. It's like that little clique of people that you don't belong to, you don't belong in. Like, oh, Poehler went over and did this thing, and and then Dratch came over, and Dratch was in there, and Faye said the funniest thing last night, and it's so like this is us. And that's what that podcast division seems to be. And it's just alienating is what that is. And I can already hear, what is that sound through the wall I'm hearing? People turning off their television sets and not watching the Golden Globes. The ratings will be abysmal. They'll be terrible. They get worse every year because they can't help themselves. Hollywood cannot get out of its own way in that regard. So I told you we had the New York Times writer, Fliegenheimer. He spent 6 hours with us yesterday. came over in the morning after Morning Mike. Steve and I were in the kitchen. We were making smoothies, doing our thing. And Fliegenheimer arrives. Nice guy. Very nice guy. Young guy. He's like 37, but he has been working for the New York Times since he's 23. So his entire outlook and professional life is shaped by the New York Times. He's been there for it all. He was there when Barry Weiss, worked there and left under protest because she wouldn't follow the doctrine and the preset narrative. And I told him ahead of time, I said, Fliegenheimer, I wrote an op-ed for the New York Times in December of 2017. I submitted my draft to them, and the editors of the op-ed section sent me back something I didn't recognize. I said, what the? Oh, what is this? I thought, you send it to an editor to fix some commas and some semicolons and the grammar and all that. No. They rewrote the article. My deeply held personal opinion article entirely to make it more damning and disgraceful of Donald Trump. And I said, guys, I didn't write this. So I had to fight and go back and say, I'm not doing this unless I am the writer. This is obviously. And so what ended up coming out was mutually agreed upon. The changes that they made were minor and didn't, change the narrative in any way. But I had to fight for that. And so I was telling him about it. And he's like, oh, I understand, but, I said, that's what the New York Times has been fighting for a long time. And just like, look, no malice intended. But after a while, I started to feel like we've spent 6 hours together. We've done it here. We've done it over at the studio. Howie Mandel came in. Here's what the New York Times and this nice young guy probably can't do because they're so deeply entrenched at the New York Times. They don't have malice maybe, but they're blind to their own bias. They think they're being truthful because their blind spot is so big. You know what I mean? Like Elizabeth Warren thinks that she's as pure as the driven snow as she pummels America with her socialism, right? She believes she's doing the right thing for us, right? NBC News, back when I worked for them in the day, believed they were doing the right thing as they did the wrong thing. But that deeply entrenched bias, I think, is just, and this kid is a great kid. He's a nice kid. He was raised in it. From 23 to 37, your only job as the New York Times. Here's what they can't do. Like, he can't write a piece that says, Billy Bush is a really smart guy. He's putting together this amazing team. He's a wonderful producer. And they work really hard to build a platform. And then we went over to his studio where he does the show, and it's a really fun place to be. My God, Howie Mandel is the wacky, landlord. He walks around collecting rent from Billy. Billy's built a new studio over there. They built a fresh one for him because things are going pretty well. And God, and everybody works well together. And then after that, Billy drove me home to his house to make a sandwich for me and himself so we could talk a little more. And we stopped at the grocery store, and all the people that work in the grocery store would come up and they'd give him a hug. And a woman who's worked there for 30 years, knows his children, talks about his character and all these things. That's the truth. That's the truth. I'm not blowing smoke up my keister. It's just the truth. But they can't write that. You know what I mean? Like the New York Times can't write that. Like, no, we can't just write the truth if it's that rosy. Tell me about that hard time in your life when you did this, and tell me about that. I felt my anxiety rising. I felt like I don't feel good here. The truth is good right now. You're worse than my egoic mind. You're trying to take me back to a place that I don't want to go. And I felt like this isn't, And I don't think, I just think he's raised that way. And I think he's like, no, we got to find the different angles. And then it became like, we'll probably publish in like February. We need to talk to more sources. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. February? This is a long form thing where you're going to go and do a whole, no, I've done all that. How about just, wow, new media is amazing. And here's an interesting voice in the middle of it all. Someone who attempts to be nuanced. Someone who doesn't preach to the choir on either side, which is a long form game, by the way. If you want more clicks and you want more money and you want a faster, rise in the algorithm, you got to get on one side and just start whipping up those people that live over here and can't see over here. I ain't doing that. I ain't doing it. Life's too short. So anyway, he texted me last night. He's like, "Are we on?" He was going to come to Morning Mike's this morning, and I said, "No. I think we've got enough." And Steve was like, "Oh, Steve's a peaceful man. He would be a good Department of Defense. He'd be a good Secretary of War because he doesn't like war." And he was like, "Well, I mean, maybe he can come." And I said, "No." Talked to my therapist. He said, "Good for you."
Yeah, you got to do what's right, what you feel what's right. He was certainly with us all day. He certainly was not, seemed like a great guy, but
nice guy.
It seems like, it was growing and growing from the day that we had yesterday and a day in the life
it was
into
enough.
This other article, maybe that,
It was enough, Steve. I got into my kitchen and the questioning started to turn you get that feeling like, oh, everything we've done was preamble. What you want is more of the missing. Here's the thing. If you want to know about the event of 9 years ago, the only person that's given anything from that event is me. And I'm probably 3% responsible. Go see the powerful corporation NBC and figure out what happened. Ask them. They won't tell you because they're guilty as hell. They won't say a thing. They didn't launch any investigations. They didn't do anything. Go look at them. That's a story that hasn't been done. And why do you seem to be related, right? You don't cover each other in certain ways, doing certain things, right? Because certain demons are bigger in your mind that you have justified is the right thing to do because you know more than others. So anyway, again, he's part of the larger machine. Don't send anything mean to this kid. I call him kid. He's 37, but he doesn't know, I don't think, that he's doing anything that, or he believes he's doing the right thing, but he doesn't seem happy in his job. I will say that. He did say in the beginning to me, there's it's really hard to get people to do profiles. I said, because I texted you and you were like, sure, come on. Yeah, because we're growing and we want good press. And by the way, anything that isn't your obituary is good press. So when it comes out, I don't care. They'll write whatever he writes about me. Oh, Billy Bush is still very raw and wounded from whatever happened in his life, and he hasn't been able to get past it and all this. What you're not going to write. And I did everything I could to unearth it and create trauma in the man. So anyway, off we go. On to the next thing, which is fabulous. Where is Elsie, by the way? She's not with us or here?
Yeah, I'm actually worried. I mean, she confirmed last night, and she has not responded this morning.
Send her a text, my friend.
I've texted, called.
Few things?
I'm legitimately,
we're almost done.
Legitimately worried because it's not like Elsie.
This is insane. Judi Dench. Okay. Can we do this? Can we get into this for a second? Oh my. Judi Dench, who's 90 years old and doesn't give a shit, did Shakespeare in Love with Harvey Weinstein, right? She was in that movie. She thinks now maybe he should be let out of prison, that he's served enough time. She says, quote, "I knew Harvey and I knew him well, and I had none of that experience, very fortunately for me. I imagine he's done his time." Oh, Ms. Dench, with no offense intended, something tells me Gwyneth Paltrow, who also did that movie, might describe her interactions with Harvey a little differently than yours. not to overstep here, but the casting couch was likely at a different temperature for her than you just saying. So she's going to get a lot of shit for that. And remember this, she's 90 and she doesn't care. So do you side with Judi Dench? Is there anyone in this chat? And by the way, you're not going to get jumped on by me because we don't do that here. That thinks Harvey has served enough time. Right? I can tell you this. Judi Dench. Nothing happened to me. Yeah, you and Gwyneth Paltrow probably got slightly different treatment by Harvey Weinstein. No offense again. I love Judi. I do. I got to say, I like a woman with piss and vinegar, and that's Judi Dench for you. I used to have a funny little gag I did with Judi all the time for Access Hollywood, or, she was on the red carpet or something. I'd always used to go, oh, that awkward feeling, right? When you're flirting with other girls and your ex-girlfriend shows up. Here we go. And she'd go, oh, yes, of course. And she would come in. Love her. Harvey needs to stay in the jail. Let him rot in prison. Harvey, it's not trending well right now. She's allowed to speak her mind. I'm like, okay. Yes, she is. Yeah. Billy, I just love yelling it like I've got a torch. She's allowed to speak her mind. We don't have to agree with her. Yeah, she is allowed. Okay. I mean, Candace Owens has come out with because she did a whole series on it with receipts, and also finding flaws in some of the statements that some of these, alleged victims in New York made. And she's this is what Candace does, right? She has the receipts on that, and then she has the receipts on Blake Lively, and she builds up the Capitol, and she's correct on that. And then she goes and says that Charlie Kirk's chief of staff, Michael McCoy, looked the other way, knew that there was a hit out on Charlie, and looked the other way because he wanted to become the next guy. He wanted to inherit the mantle. He wanted to become the man. I think that's crazy. And she claims to have all the, I don't think that's true. And I think that is to whip the algorithm. I don't understand. And yet she's done some incredible things. Like Brigitte Macron is not a man. This craziness comes out. You build capital on a story like Blake, right? You do some good reporting and some good storytelling, and it's true. And then you go and you spend it on something that's completely bananas. And to that, I can only say, quiet, Biggie. Quiet, Biggie. Weinstein's micro P is his other prison. Oh, wow, Jackie, you are on fire this morning. He has a, what do you call that? It's when his genitalia is attached to the side of his leg. He has a condition. I forgot what it's called. Oh. Don't start going through medical terms. I can't handle it. Oh my God. Yeah, but he has like he's got a malformity, right? It's disgusting. Yeah, man. Okay, 100% convinced Brigitte Macron is a man. Cleopatra. She absolutely convinced me. Yeah, Candace can be convincing. Let me try a different approach. Brigitte Macron is not a man. There's no way she's a man. These are two whack job conspiracy theorists who ran something years ago. They got cleared they were going to get crushed for defamation. They got out of it, luckily. And Candace picked up with the precedent that the two people that did this before got off on defamation. I'm going to get off on too, but boy, am I going to make a lot of noise. Brigitte Macron is not a dude. Absolutely not. but people love it. They want her. Some people, see, Candace also knows people want her to be a dude. Because you know what? We have license to beat up on the French. And I agree with that. I like to beat up on the French people. I do. But I don't want to tell a woman. I don't want to embarrass a woman in front of the world stage and call her a man. That's, no. She's my lady, and I am her man. Little Emmanuel Macron. Is he a lady? Maybe we go the other way with this. Do we have the receipt, Steve? Let's launch a series that proves that Emmanuel Macron is a woman. And it's, Candace, you were almost right. You were almost right. You just got it turned around. She's an alien. Let her go. Here's a legitimate question about whether Harvey raped. There is a legitimate question about whether Harvey SA'd women or just pressured them into sex to advance their careers. The latter is a civil claim. Rape, R is, can you say R is a crime? Well, I think I've told you this before, but I had a conversation with a oh, Jesus, don't get into this. Steve, look what they're doing. Michelle Obama. There's a whole thing about Michelle Obama is the next one. This is just crazy. Which one? Me? Is Billy Bush a man at this point? You know what? I'm going to show you right now that I am. Oh, my back. Okay, there we go. Whoop. I'm all man, baby. All man. Yeah. Big time guy. Absolutely. I'm looking right into the lens when I say that. 100%. Boom. Most of the time, I say Gavin's 7% gay, right? 7% gay, 7% effeminate energy, 7% in every man. I think Steve's 11%. Steve's 11 and I might be 13, just because, you know what I mean? I think you need just enough to not be a Neanderthal asshole to people who are different, right? You know what I'm saying? I got just the right amount of energy in me, baby. Pineapple zaddies, you see? I'm not afraid. Well, we put them on the floor for Christmas. I don't know if we have I love Billy's feminine side too. You know what I mean? It's just enough. But where it's important, he's all man. As Donald Trump said, Arnold Palmer was all man. Oh, he was a man. The other players, the other guys in the locker room would see him come in and they would go, whoa, he was some man. He was all man, Steve. He was, oof. They would see him and go, whoa, I love that.
Give me the end, though. Give me the end.
Because I wasn't going to say it. But I had to do it. I had to do it. And I always say to that, you did not have to do it. Trump, you did not have to do it. But I kind of love that he did it. I kind of love that he had to talk about Arnold's prowess. Billy Bush is a man, baby. A man, baby? Or a man, comma, baby? Maybe I'm a man, baby. I don't know. Have I gotten like what is it? Baby, did you play with G.I. Joes? Yeah, I had little toy soldiers. I had G.I. Joes, but I also drew a penis on my little Paddington bear. Like I drew a thing on him, and I'd always look for the package. I was package obsessed as I waited for mine to grow, Paddington, I drew a wiener on almost every teddy bear. So I totally defaced all the toys. Billy's favorite story, Arnold. Here we come. Which one is that, Steve? Oh, Arnold, here we come. That's my favorite story. I thought you were talking, get him to the chopper. Get him to the chopper. The other Arnold. Have you ever seen this, Arnold? I did this NBC show years ago called Grease, You're the One That I Want. We talked about it because I've got this interview coming up with the girl who was the star of that TV show and then went on to Broadway and then got canceled by Broadway. They kicked her out of the club. There's a Broadway club and they kicked her out. And her story of cancellation and recovery is a fantastic one. And I had her on, and we're going to do that, I think, next week, right, Steve? Yeah, I've already done
Wednesday
the interview,
next
but
week.
it's really good. Her name
Yep.
is Laura Osnes, and she went on to star in Grease on Broadway and then star in a few other productions. She had an amazing Broadway career until they kicked her out of the Cool Club. Amazing little story there. Now, I'm not sure why I mentioned that, Steve. Do you recall?
Oh, something with Arnold impression.
Oh, Arnold. Oh, okay. So I hosted Grease Here, the one that I want, with her name was Denise Van Outen, and they brought her from the UK, and they made us co-hosts. And Denise and I did the show together. And then I once looked up, Denise used to do a breakfast television show over in the UK, as they call it, morning TV. And there's a famous video online of Denise Van Outen interviewing Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she's wearing leather pants. And he can't help himself. It's like that moment when Susie Colbert from ESPN was on the sideline at Monday Night Football, and Joe Namath is there, and Joe Namath is drunk, and he's wearing a fur coat. And she's like, "We're here with Joe Namath. Hi, Joe." It's Susie. He's like, "Hey, babe, how are you doing? You looking hot? Like, what's going on?" And he has no clue that he's on TV, and the whole country is watching. Well, Denise is on there with Arnold, and it's like he had no idea he was on a live breakfast show. And she's wearing these leather pants. She's a very attractive woman. And he leans over and he goes, "Oh, yeah." And every man will tell you there's no better sound than the sound of a slap on tight leather. And in a loving way. You should be in a loving relationship, but a little pop, on a leather pants it's a glorious sound. Again, you need to be in a relationship where this is understood and there is consent throughout. Okay. He can't help himself. She's there in the thing. He goes, "Oh, yeah." And whoop. Schwarzenegger leans across and pops her ass on TV. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Yeah, that sounds so good. I love it." He didn't give a shit. Oh my God. Thanks for the laughs this morning, BB. Yeah.
This one because I never heard it, and I think it might be true, Billy.
Billy's feminine side always sounds too much like one of the Golden Girls.
B. Arthur.
Like a manly woman. Like B. Arthur was a manly woman. Okay, which Golden Girl would Steve be? If Steve would he be are you more Estelle Getty, or are you more
Betty White?
Betty White?
And who is the
Rue McClanahan.
Rue
McClanahan. I think you're more Rue McClanahan. Nah, Rue, no. Rue's sort of straight talking. Steve, I think you might be more Betty White. I don't know.
I might be Estelle Getty. Maybe.
Blanche was Rue McClanahan.
Oh yeah, Blanche. That's what I was trying to
Blanche.
think
of. My mom, it looks like Estelle Getty now. She drives. My mom has white. My mom and the glasses she has. My mom looks frighteningly like Estelle Getty because they're both the same size, very teeny. Who was Rose? Rose is Rue McClanahan. No, Betty White is Rose. Thank you. But Estelle Getty was who then?
The mom.
Yeah, the old mom. What was her character's name, though? Sophia. Okay. Sophia. Oh, my God. What a great handle is this. Whoa. That is so good. Where is she? There's someone by the name of Judgy. Look at this. Judgy Judgerson. What a great online comment section handle. Aren't we all so judgy? Underneath it all, we love to judge. I come from a long line of judgy people. My brother should run for judge of Maine. Okay, I'm just going to come and judge. I'm very judgy, Steve. You know that. And I try not to be. My mom's brutal. My dad was brutal. My dad once said, my dad was the absolute, he was this pillar of the community, a man of integrity that people looked up to. He was just so decent and good and man of faith and all those things. Check, check, check. Hold the door open for women as they would get out of the car, and a little top hat he would wear. He was that old school gentleman, but he had this little judgy streak in him. You know what I mean? One time he's walking with my mom and a granddaughter, one of my brother's daughters. And he looks and he says, oh my God, Jody, look at that. Is that Tim Collins over there? Jesus, he's gotten so fat. What happened? He gained all the weight. And my mom turns and says, John, diabetes runs in his family. And Dad said, nobody runs in his family.
That's a good one. That's a good joke.
It's terrible to say it. He said it. I actually did. As people were just fawning over the man and his decency and his goodness at my brother did his eulogy, and then it was my turn. And I said, you know what? I have to include that story. And so I included it in his eulogy, and the church just blew up laughing because it was so inappropriate and yet, you know, pretty funny. Oh my God. Christina is laughing because, well, listen, here's interesting. My mom was a Mississippi girl. She notices if I lose or gain 1 pound. Southern women can be brutal like that. And Melissa, I am so sorry. I know that to be true. Yeah, no, some Southern women now. Oh, honey, oh, baby, did you got to keep that figure. Got to keep that figure. And it's like, oh, I know women who have been growing up with that is very, very hard. The Santa's list is coming out. Which one is Steve? Steve's going to be on the nice list again. And I'm hoping to get over to his list this year. I don't know. My mom had a mean friend who said, is that a new dress? Oh, it's so fucking passive aggressive. Oh, no, it isn't. And the woman said, oh, I didn't think so. Nothing like passive aggressive, mean, judgy, brutal, right? Well, I want to thank our guest this morning, Elsie, for joining us. Steve, did we get ghosted by Elsie?
Yeah, but
guys, hop into Elsie's DMs and say you ghosted the Bushman. What's up? But you know what? We'll bring her on. She's tomorrow. A great mom. Yeah, she's probably like bustling kids around this morning and doing all that, and just life got in the way. And you know what? We just live in that space of okay, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's called cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectic behavioral therapy. The guy that's screaming down the shoulder on the highway and everyone else is sitting in traffic in their lanes, but there's a guy bombing down the shoulder. You think immediately, what an asshole.
Wait a minute, Billy.
Hold on. He might be delivering his pregnant wife to the hospital.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
So true.
He might be taking his pregnant wife to the hospital. He might be deathly ill next to him and they can't wait in traffic. They got to get somewhere. You don't know. We all make conclusions about people. So let's go that route. Let's just hope that Elsie's okay. There you go. I hope everything's working out great with Elsie. I'm sure it is. We love her. We'll have her tomorrow. And we get the benefit of the same content tomorrow and her shame and profuse apologies, which could be, nope, he's just being an asshole. I drive on the I-35. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive. Steve? It's Tuesday. I got my therapy session at 8:30. Got the therapist lined up. Can't wait. Gonna say, yeah, I started feeling uncomfortable. She won't George Lopez you. Oh, man. Oh, I had to do it. George Lopez was going to get out of it. I had to do it. Is Reese Witherspoon preggers? That's either a dig that she's gay. Don't be. I hope you're asking that seriously, but I don't think so. No. Might be Reese Witherspoon. This place I'm going. And last time when I was actually 2 years after getting retired, I was down there with the kids. They're on vacation. No, it's a couple years after. The kids down there for vacation, and I played football with the niece. Me and my niece played the three. We had fun. Oh, Elsie, listened to her earlier today. She's checking I believe she would ever miss listening that night. Yeah, so maybe she had a little syphilis, had a little flu. Let's do a little. Think about this man. Look, you know what he can do? He can ride that bike. You're riding that bike. I had to do it. I had to do it.